What do ancient emperors do when they get bored? They play board games with humans. This is Food Travel and DIY bringing you Fatehpur Sikri, the capital of the Mughal Emperor Akbar. We enter the city through the majestic ancient gate. We have our lunch here at Shabir Dhaba, a roadside eatery. We have some hot butter chicken, mutton korma and tandoori roti, and everything tasted fantastic in the cold weather. After parking our vehicle in the government parking, we were ferried by golf cart to the city. We see many ancient ruins as we move along. We pass the Naubat Khana or the drum house. This was used to play drums and music to welcome people as they came inside. Now we enter the main courtyard of the city. This was the Diwan-e-Aam or the common people's court where the king would conduct business affairs. We notice a stone ring on the ground. This is apparently used to tie criminals where the king's favorite elephant Hiran would trample the guilty people. This is the Diwan-e-Khas or the special court. Akbar and his ministers would discuss politics here in private. The common people were not allowed within this building. This area was used to feed the poor people during Akbar's rule. The building was a double-story building from the outside but a single-story building from the inside. It had one ceiling. Akbar started a religion called Deen-e-Ilahi which encompassed all faiths. If we look at the pillar, we see architecture inspired from different religions and different parts of his empire. We see Jain architecture from the Jain temples here. The zigzag pattern is inspired from Persia. There is a Christian cross here. The design below is inspired by Buddhism, and the design further below is inspired by Hinduism. In this way, Akbar encompassed all faiths within this pillar. The village that can be seen in the background is Sikri village. It existed before the city was built and was a village of stonecutters. Akbar had made 52 man-made lakes for the city. The city had a population of about 650,000 at the time and was one of the most populous in the world. In the distance we see a tower. This is known as Hiran Minar, and it is said that the king's favorite elephant Hiran was buried here and the king built a tower in his memory. This is the Khazana Mahal or the treasure palace. It was used to store treasure. Let's have a look at this room. It was used as a treasury room. The roof had Jain architecture and there were slots in the wall to store treasure. This is an example of the slots within the wall for storing the treasure. The elephant-like design on this pagoda is an example of Jain architecture. It is the place where the royal astrologer would sit and listen to the problems of the general public in this courtyard and advise them. This is the Panch Mahal or the 5-story palace. It was also known as the Hawa Mahal or the Wind Palace. This palace was used by the 3 main wives of Akbar to feel the wind. This structure was a school during Akbar's time, and on the top of it was the library. The Mughal royals would also engage in a bit of fun. This place was used to play the ancient game of Pachisi, an early form of Ludo. The king and his wives would sit in the center of the board, and the game pieces would usually be dancers wearing stunning costumes. When moving across the squares, the dancers would dance and move across from one square to another. This is the Anup Talao, which means the peerless pool, and it is the place where Raja Tansen, who was Akbar's chief musician, performed. To know more about Raja Tansen, like, share and subscribe. Akbar had a famous musician from Gwalior named Raja Tansen, whose musical ability was unmatched. According to legend, this is the famous venue of a music battle to the death between Raja Tansen and one of his unknown adversaries. On that day, Raja Tansen sang the Rag Deepak, a musical framework which, due to its magical power, generated heat and the lamps of the palace started to burn. To counter this, his adversary sang the Rag Megh, a musical framework which brought in the rain clouds and doused the flames and won the battle. Raja Tansen for the first time was defeated. Tansen was sentenced to death, and the unknown adversary was asked by Akbar for his reward. He requested the emperor to spare Raja Tansen's life. Thus, Raja Tansen was taught a lesson in humility, and the unknown adversary vanished into the unknown. This is the palace of Akbar's wife known as Ruqayya or the Turkish Sultana. All the stonework here is handmade using a hammer and a chisel. At the bottom, we can see a renovated stonework built by modern stoneworkers. Within this palace, we had mirrors and diamonds and other precious stones. We can also see the external pillars of the palace which had stone workmanship. It is said that all of these columns had diamonds and various shining precious stones, but these were taken away by invaders and the British. We can also see that there is a lot of handwork stone within the roof as well. This is the way towards a Turkish bath exclusively made for the first wife of Akbar known as Ruqayya or the Turkish Sultana. Holy water from the river Ganga or Ganges was brought from Haridwar and stored in the stone container for Akbar and his Hindu wife Jodha Bai's use. This is the royal dining room. A large carpet was put here and Akbar and his wives used to dine here. These niches in the wall were used to place dishes which would be served to the king and his wives. There were provisions here to keep the food hot as well as cold. We can see some old paintings of the time of Akbar here which have faded out. This is Akbar's Khwab Ghar or dream house. It is where he slept at night. This was the summer bedroom and on top of it was his winter bedroom. We were not allowed access to the top floor and the winter bedroom. Shoes were not allowed here and there was rose water kept here to keep the room cool. In order to reach the bed, Akbar had a staircase made out of sandalwood. You can see that the large bed that was used at the time was made of stone. We see windows made here for ventilation. Every morning the king would wake up to the sound and the music of Raja Tansen singing at the Anup Talao. We can see below troughs placed for rose water so that the king would have fragrance within his dreams. This building was the kitchen of Jodha Bai. She was a Hindu queen who was a strict vegetarian. She had an exclusive kitchen to cook vegetarian food. On the opposite side, a non-vegetarian kitchen was present. This palace was built for the second wife of Akbar, Mariam, who was a Portuguese Christian woman and was a native of Goa. This palace had gold paintings and was golden in color at the time. That is why it is known as the Sunahara Mahal. We can see some faded paintings of elephant fights which were golden in the past. The largest palace of Akbar's wives was for Jodha Bai, who was a Hindu princess from Rajasthan. It was built in the style of Rajasthani Haveli or mansion. The balconies here are a distinct feature of Rajasthani architecture. This was the private room of Jodha Bai during the summer. It had a lot of openings for the wind to go through. This is the palace of Mahesh Das Dubey, also known as Raja Birbal, who was one of the main ministers of Akbar. This was made originally for Jodha Bai, Akbar's Hindu wife, and when she disliked it, it was handed over to Raja Birbal. Birbal was known for his wit and knowledge. Let us enter into Jodha Bai Palace. The outside was the watchman of the palace. There is only a single entrance and exit to this palace. The windows at the top were to throw flowers when the queen arrived or departed from the palace. A lot of Hindu symbolism exists here. We can see the leaves of the tulsi plant, a tilak which is an ornamental sport for the forehead. After this we see a burning lamp, then we have a flower and a bell and a chain which exist in temples. This motif was designed based on the Tirupati Balaji temple. This palace is known as Jodha's Haveli or mansion. We can see the summer bedroom on the east and the winter bedroom on the west. A holy plant Tulsi was planted in the center. Her servants would stay in the ground floor. She had about 165 servants in this palace. In the domes on the four corners, her bodyguards would be present who were eunuchs. This compound houses the tomb of Salim Chishti, who was a religious person at the time of Akbar. Akbar needed a male heir and he had no children from his two wives, Ruqayya and Mariam. He had offered prayers at many temples and mosques but didn't get a male heir. Finally, it was Salim Chishti who asked Akbar to marry Haraka Bai, the Rajasthani Hindu princess, and after his marriage with her, the prophecy came true and Akbar's son Jahangir was born. This is the tomb of Salim Chishti. It is made of marble and the graves of his family members are present around this area. There is an iconic mosque built in the 1570s here. We can see the Buland Darwaza or the door of victory. The tomb was initially made of red sandstone, but then Jahangir rebuilt it with white marble. A word of caution to all. This place is infested with beggars and street urchins who try to swindle money from you. Beware of pickpockets. There are vendors who strong arm you into buying sheets to offer at the dargah. They are very rude and they work along with your guide. This was the only disappointing part of our visit to Fatehpur Sikri. Do not buy anything from them. You can visit the dargah without the sheet. Flowers are also offered on the grave of the holy man. All men and women who enter into the dargah must cover their heads, and this is provided for you. A string is provided for you to tie at the dargah, and it is said that each knot represents a wish, and we are not allowed to tie more than 3 knots on the string. Now we visit the Buland Darwaza. It is the highest doorway in the world and built by Akbar after his victory in Gujarat. A fantastic view of the city can be seen from here. This gate is known as the Horseshoe Gate, and it contains horseshoes which have been fixed here for good luck. The larger horseshoes were from the British era with larger Clydesdale horses. This concluded our visit to Fatehpur Sikri. Please like, share and subscribe for more content. See you later.